Yes, sir. Good morning.
It's funny that as you come on, we're talking about gratitude, man.
Nice.
Let's start the morning off with just being grateful that you are here and spending some time with me. Thank you.
No, thank you for having me. Thank you for the kind words. I truly appreciate it.
It's your history, baby. It's your history. It's
I know
amazing.
sometimes when you're focused and trying to hit a certain goal, and every time when you get to the goal and you're trying to push beyond, you forget the small little steps. And when somebody like you mentions it, that's when you sit and you can show gratitude for the small steps and just chipping away
100%.
slowly at the rock.
Yeah, man. Listen, I've always been a fan of your music from back in 2014, I think maybe when we first
16.
met for the
Yeah,
AC
16.
Fest. It was a 16?
Yeah.
16? Wow, it's like 4 years already. But I became a bigger fan of you, the individual. The artist was like the first door opening, but every time we speak, the level of depth and the consciousness that you're trying to get to is crazy, and more people need to hear it. And I'm working on this book. I've been working on this book for over a year now, and I want to get it out of me. And the only way I know how to get anything out of my head is by talking out loud. So I started to invite friends that have the same consciousness to
Right.
think about the topics with me. So this week, I've been really exploring this idea of finding your voice
Right.
and how so much of our voice is muted or is somebody else's narrative until you're conscious that, hey, am I this person? Is what I'm telling myself good or bad? My own thoughts? And what is my thoughts? What do I want to be? And
Right.
that's some scary shit that people don't explore. And my thesis is when you start to go from living somebody else's voice to your own voice, you start to discover your own superpowers. The
100%.
superpowers that make you who you are. You know what I mean? The thing that attracts people to you. You can live life two ways. You either attract people to you or you try to pull people to you. Pulling never is sustainable. But when people are attracted to you for the right superpowers, that comes from clarity and finding your own voice, that is when you're aligned, and that's sort of what I'm talking about is this book. And I said, man, let me bring Millie on because not only are you an artist, but you're very spiritual. You're connected to something more than just music. So for those of you that don't know you and listening to this podcast, give me the 1 minute Millie Soch intro.
Millie Soch. So Millie Soch itself. So Millie is an acronym. It's music is life inspired. Soch means thought in Hindi. I make English music, so it's a mixture of Hindi and English, and everything is based on my personal experience. Recently, I've learned that my uh, expression of art is to represent the diaspora of South Asians and um, our unique culture. So it doesn't matter if it's North America, it's UK, it could be Australia. South Asians, when we grow up, we're um, enforced so many things from our culture and by our parents, forgetting that our parents brought it here for a bigger purpose, a better life. Sometimes even I find that they even forget that a better life means better understanding and an open mind. Uh, you know,
Say that again. Say that again.
better understanding and an open mind is what everything is about. Whether it's understanding other religions, understanding other cultures, and what are the similarities that we hold together. Today, Millie Soch, that's what Millie Soch is. What we
Mm,
hold in common. Why point out differences? All my entire life, I've been conditioned to point out differences and say, hey, we are different in this way and that way. You know what I mean? Uh, so now it's fuck that. I'm not doing that no more. You know, Sorry for
mm.
the ones that are against cursing, but I'm not cursing for no reason. I'm putting a purpose behind it. If I'm saying fuck, it's really this is how I feel. I'm emphasizing so you understand the seriousness of it. You know,
Yeah,
uh,
yeah.
let's put a cut to this. Let's just stop it. Let's stop it right here. We are Canadians, right? What is being Canadian? Embracing other cultures, understanding each other. We send our kids to school, okay? We don't know what racism is. We don't see color. We go to school, we have black friends, white friends, different cultures. Chinese friend, Indian friends, Pakistani friends, Bengali friends, okay? We come home and our parents teach us, oh, you're Indian. You know what Pakistanis did to us? Okay, you're generalizing, first of all. As kids, we don't understand what generalizing is. I feel so passionate about this because I'm sick and tired of it. If you're going to call yourself Canadians, please understand what being Canadian is. Sorry, I
Amazing.
know you
Listen,
asked what Millie Socha was,
listen,
but I have to
it's
go on this rant.
dope. But but this is what I love about you. You know, it's you go all in when it matters, and as more things matter, your voice becomes, you know, something that cuts through this stuff. Like we need more people talking about these kind of things, which is incredible. This version of Millie is an evolution over the last few years, right? So let's
Yeah.
take it back to the 14-year-old, went to India, saw Bohemia, fell in love, started to get into rap. What was that version of you like?
Totally different. It feels like a lifetime ago. I don't even identify myself as that person anymore, but I do look at my experiences as something to study and grow from, especially looking at human behavior. And the best person I can do that with is my old self, whether it was yesterday or even today when I'm sitting tomorrow and looking in retrospect. But back then, it was just ambition, man. Like my parents were together. We went to India as a family after so long. You know, we were a unit, and that's what the entire time that was instilled in me by my parents. You know, we're a unit, and in Canada, we didn't really have families. So when we went after like years, it was just this reconnection with all my family members. And then this whole time I was freestyling, and my brother was my biggest supporter, um, and still is. So one day I just woke up and my brother woke me up and he's like, yo, get up. There's something playing on MTV you have to see. And I wake up and it's Bohemia and it's one of his first songs and this guy's rapping in Punjabi. And right away I'm like, hold on, this actually works. I just do this for fun. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
That
that's
actually,
awesome, man.
it actually gave me a spark to actually maybe take it a little more serious and keep doing this. Obviously growing in a South Asian household, and being Muslim on top of that is such a no-no. Music is such a no-no, and the hypocrisy in it, I can't, you know, I can't swallow because we would consume music or we would consume entertainment, but if you're going to be on the other side, it's such a no-no. No, you have to be a doctor. So I come from a highly educated family, especially all my uncles from my dad's side. My dad is, he has his master's in chemistry, and I have cousins who have double PhD. So, and I'm this guy who wants to
Woo!
be a rapper, you know,
No
and
no pressure there, no pressure.
not at all. And on top of that, I grew up having um, having issues, you know, especially learning issues. And back then there was no title, there was nothing to it. Now they know it. It's called dyslexia. You know,
Yeah.
I was getting compared to my cousins who had legit photogenic memory. So my cousins would just go to class, pay attention, and we're talking India. My cousin's face would come on the newspaper because in grade 10, this is a government exam, right? So when you go
Right.
number one, your face would go on the papers. So I was
Wow,
being
I didn't know
compared to a
that.
person like that. Yeah, grade
Oh,
10 to
geez.
grade 12 is all government exams. So everyone's getting the exact same papers throughout the entire India. So you could be from Tamil Nadu speaking Tamil, you could be from Gujarat speaking Gujarati. You know what I mean? And India has 27 different languages. You know
But
what
you
I
get to
mean?
be on the paper for passing a test?
Yeah, because now you're competing against millions.
Oh,
It's the exact
wow.
same
That's
test,
that.
right?
Imagine the pressure.
Exactly. So, and we're only talking intellectually. So you're talking about, we're just talking about education here. And there's this um, misunderstanding, I believe, you know, within our culture that if you get a PhD in a particular subject, somehow you know everything about life.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I have to
Yeah,
come and
yeah.
ask you for advice, even when it comes to spirituality. You could
Yeah,
be a
yeah,
person who goes home and hits your wife and treats your kids like shit, but because you have a PhD, I'm supposed to respect you.
yeah, yeah.
It doesn't make sense to me. I can only
It's
respect human beings for
listen,
what
the
they are.
rules, the rules of the culture so much is based on survival, right?
Yes.
Uh, and survival rules are much different than when you're in a place of confidence, when you're in a place of fulfillment, and that's something that we have a culture. We hope we can pass it on. It's not my generation,
Yeah.
probably the start of your generation, but
Right.
hopefully my kids' generation, right? They're just far enough from the chaos but still plugged into the culture, but a version that doesn't hold them back, you know? And
Right.
that's the voice we're talking about, right? That's the voice we're talking about. Going, hey, 14-year-old Millie had a certain voice in his head, and you were given a blueprint that you followed, some representation that you saw
Yep.
through Bohemia and whoever else inspired you. But that blueprint and that representation wasn't back in your own court. It was some guy on TV. It wasn't like you saw it in your family and you're like, oh man, my cousin's a hip hop dude or whatever. And
Right.
then when we eliminate representation across all of the fields, not just academia, then there's a portion of us that are lost
Right.
because we don't know what to look for. Like, I'm an entrepreneur in a family that hates entrepreneurship, but I was like, well, where did it come from?
Right.
Somebody had to have a business at some point, and they don't tell you this shit because they want you to like not know what happened. So the history is hidden.
Right.
And then after years of mental health and trying to figure out why don't I fit into this goddamn family? Like I don't understand. Why do I have an engineering dad who hates me, a conservative mom? My brother is a school book nerd, which I love him for. He's got everything from a MBA to the PhD and all this kind of stuff. Where the hell do you fit in? And finding your voice for me is being on that journey to start to question, where do I fit in? Not in a conforming way, but as humans, our number one thing is to fit in
Yeah.
and build this tribe of people that take care of us. You know, I do a lot of like study on history and human evolution because I'm fascinated. And we've always huddled for survival. Not the one guy doesn't go out hunting a dinosaur, a group does. So they can like kill something or bring it back to eat. And so for me, this idea of like trying to find a voice is super important. So you got this representation of this Bohemia character. If we go back even a little bit more, why start freestyling? Where did that come from? Of all the things that you could be good at, you could be painting, you could be
Yeah.
running, you could be playing basketball. Words just started coming. When did you start to pay attention to that?
Um, in high school, I remember I just got drawn to just hip hop in general. You know, the first time like even I heard hip hop, my first thought was, hey, imagine somebody did this in a language I understood. It would just be awesome. Like, you know what I mean? Um, and then on top of that, I'm a super introvert. Like, I don't speak at all unless I'm strongly opinionated, and I know strongly what I believe in. You know, other than that, I'm not saying nothing. I'm just listening and observing, and that's just by nature. Um,
Mm,
you know, and so when I heard hip hop, this was my time to shine. Anything I had to say, I would drop it in freestyles in high school. It was also a way to fit in. All these cool kids. So I'm this new kid. And I was considered more of a fob. But now when I'm freestyling, all that is gone. I'm only um, judged for what I deliver. Literally, I'm delivering bars here. You know what I mean? And then people be like, "Yo, man, how long you been doing this?" Be like, less than a year." "What? When did you come to Canada?" Like 2 years ago. They'll be like, "Hold on, what?" You know, and
wow.
I just loved that attention. So I would just make
Mm,
sure that every day I had these bars ready. And then I started realizing that there's a lot of Desi kids around listening to these guys freestyling. Uh, so I started using that crowd for as hype. So I would drop these Hindi words here and there that they would understand, knowing that
right.
I would get these reactions, and I would get that reaction. I would
Yeah,
feel like, yes, I got the crowd. You get what I'm saying?
yeah.
Even though the other guy who's freestyling is from Jamaica and he has no idea what these words are. You know what I mean? That didn't matter
Mm.
to me. It was all about that reaction. That was my first introduction to even hip hop and wanting to be a part of this. Never took it seriously. I really, really never took it seriously like that. Um,
Can we talk about that for a second? Because
yeah,
I was similar to you, where things that naturally came to me. I'm an extrovert, and I try to hide it because I spent my first 15 years with a dad that physically abused me every time I was an extrovert.
hmm
If I would smile, I would get a slap to my face for smiling. If I was walking a certain way, I would get a kick. Like he wanted to make sure that I was not who I was because this extrovertness implied that I was shaming the family or standing out or doing something where he was not. So it got to a point where like that Pavlov test, I think, where the trigger happens to the animal and it's like, oh my gosh, and it changes their mindset. Being open immediately brought on memories of pain, so I just started to get shut down until I came to Canada, and then it was like, oh man, this is what it feels like when I hit that jump shot. Even though I suck at basketball, I was one of the first brown dudes to play basketball in Scarborough. So I was like, this is kind of cool. I'm feeding off this energy, or getting onto the decks for the very first time and DJing. And it's really interesting to meet other people because similar to you, the thing that made me feel normal for once is the thing that I didn't take serious.
Right.
And I look back sometimes going, man, what if I did go all in at 15 on becoming a better MC, becoming a better DJ, becoming a better whatever that made me feel at that point normal or awesome or find my tribe versus, man, I kind of did that as a hobby. And it's funny because you said the same thing. Today we recognize the artist first for the craft that you put out, which 3-4 years ago was like, I'm not taking it serious.
Right.
Why not?
I think it comes with your environment. You know what I mean? Me growing up Muslim, growing up South Asian in an Indian household, going back to what I said, coming from a super educated family, it's such a no-no, and not getting recognized that your child has an issue here, has actually learning disability, not recognizing that from educated people, such as my dad.
Right.
Right away you start doubting your own self, and or especially when you're excelling at something, instead of doubling down on that and parents pushing you towards it, what starts happening is they start putting doubts in them and their insecurities onto you. I think right away you start not taking it seriously. Right away as we grow older, then we see people that we grew up with, giving us that, bro, you're doing the right thing, yo, keep doing, please don't stop. I think it's that environment and who you surround yourself with is very important, and I think that's what it is. The first time I wrote any rap in Hindi, completely in Hindi. Now I do English. My brother was my biggest supporter. He was the one that said, yo, you have to do this. So today my brother is a super religious guy, does not listen to music. You know what I mean? There were certain things that took place in his life and in our life when we're here as adolescents. That made him completely leave Canada, go to India, move there, get married, and he lives there now. And he was my biggest supporter and still is, regardless of maybe he does not like the career choice I made, but regardless, he still supports me as a human being.
Right. That's big.
You know what I mean? And that alone, that is a perfect example of how people should treat each other.
Right.
I not like what you do, but I still have to support you if I want to be in your life. You know what I mean? And nowadays I realize that I had a lot of insecurities. I had a lot of and I had to recognize that. If I'm looking at somebody and feeling jealous, I have to recognize, why am I fucking feeling jealous? You know what I mean? I have to sit there in my own shit to understand these are things and insecurities that I have. How do I overcome this? You know what I mean? And it for me personally, it came from always seeking. As artists, it's natural, especially as amateur artists, you know what I mean? It's very natural to seek recognition and always seek recognition. And every time somebody says no to you, to take it very personally. And to be quite honest, times that I tried to get on Desi Fest and I was denied, I took it personally. Yo, fucking Saxby, bro. You know what I mean? Like, today, I can say this in front of you. Today, I can say this because that wasn't me. That wasn't truly the true form of me. I'm trying to be my higher self. What is being the higher self is what I ask myself. No insecurities. I don't give a fuck about no recognition. I know what I'm producing right now. I know what's coming out right now. If you're not with it, you're not with it. It's not for you. Trust me. I know in my gut where this is going. I don't need nobody except for my core team.
Which is, and that's the power of the superpower, right? That's what I tell people, when you go through this exercise of evolving and finding your voice. And if we use the Desi Fest example, I'll tell you the other side, right? When I first started, I was like, man, who's going to come on stage? Who's going to actually come on stage and believe that I can represent the culture at Young Dundas Square and blah, blah, blah. And the first wave of people that I reached out to who are more established in the industry is like, screw you. Like, what's the point? Right? Or they'll come just to take the money and do no collaborative work. They won't promote us. They won't even put the flyers out. Like, I'm paying you and I'm
Right.
giving you flyers to promote you and me, and they won't put it out. Because for them it's like, yeah, I'm gonna show up, make my money and leave. I don't care about stats. I don't care about DC Fest. And when we're averaging close to 300 auditions a year, the thing I had to learn is how to say no to 280.
Right.
And I'm not an artist. How do you learn to say no to somebody whose craft is not something I can judge? It's not like you're saying, hey, you know, taste this, if it tastes good or not. It's a creative process. And I had to figure out my own voice as a festival director, as a visionary with what I want to do with this project and what I wanted to represent. Who's part of that narrative? Because everybody's part of the same puzzle.
Yes.
And that puzzle gets reset every year. And it doesn't add on, it's a brand new start every
Yeah.
single year. And so I had to find my voice and my strength and my confidence to go, hey, man, this is why you can't come on. And you can either roll with me, like you said, because you see my vision, or you can hate me for it. And that's cool too. But both is your choice, it's not mine.
Yeah.
I know where I'm coming from, and I'm confident in the decision making, and I can explain and rational why I did stuff, which
Hmm.
comes from clarity because I know my voice,
Yeah.
right? And then I don't feel bad. I feel connected to help. And
Yes.
that took like at least 4 or 5 years before I got to that state of consciousness, because you get sucked into the game too quickly and you want to please everybody, and you
Hmm.
want to you want to say yes to everybody because you want that feedback and that attention, like you said, right?
Yeah.
And so it's really interesting when I hear artists much later in life where we become friends, and I hear some of the early talks, and you're not the first guy to tell me that. And it's funny because the folks that now give me that version are people that have elevated themselves to a new level.
Yeah.
I still have a very big haters club, which is amazing. And
Oh
and
yeah, I
and
know that. I know that. I used to be part of it, bro. I used to be part of it.
so
You know
I
what I
was
mean?
like, "Ooh." So it's great to see the evolution. Um, as you look back in the last 3 4 years, and I love how you set me up with, this is my voice. I know what I'm doing now. It's in my gut. Here's where I'm going. What are some of the life changes and routines and choices you've made consciously in the last few years that allowed you to fortify that belief system? Because we can't just say stuff. We got to say stuff and do it
Yeah,
consistently so it
100%.
becomes a truth. So, what are
100%.
some of the things that you're doing now differently than before?
Yeah, yeah. To start off with, I had to recognize what kind of fucking hypocrite I was. Again, like you said, I was just saying stuff. Yeah, I'm different. How? How? You know what I mean? I just kept saying I'm different. Oh, everybody's rocking this. I don't want to rock that. Everyone's doing this. I don't want to do that. It doesn't. That's just the base level. That's just the scratch on the surface. What am I? Well, this is one thing that I picked up recently. I'm done with fucking primitive thinking. All that is very primitive. We live. This is 2020. You want to use technology? You want to change? Change. How? I have to ask myself that. How can I change? I had to actually go pick up a book. I didn't like reading because of my dyslexic issue. I had to keep forcing reading the same page over and over 10, 20 times until I understood the page. And then I realized that, I can't waste time on one page. So I have to pick up the pace. I had to teach myself, So right now I'm doing this thing called the circadian rhythm, which we spoke about earlier, um, which is I don't have an alarm clock anymore. I wake up anywhere from 4 to 7 a.m. You know what I mean? And I like it like that. And it doesn't matter what time I fell asleep. Sometimes I fall asleep at 2, 3 a.m. because I suffer from insomnia. So I had to physically force change upon myself, the way of thinking, and that's where I think it really starts. And it came from, instead of separating, how can I involve everybody? I have to understand, okay, if Satsby, for example, is telling me no for a certain show when he's giving me opportunities before, but this time he's saying no. Why is he saying no? I had to look at someone else's perspective and understand. Perspective. I see that perspective is it's a unique thing. The way you look at life, the way I look at life, the way someone else that I know looks at life, it's so unique to each individual. But it takes understanding, and it takes courage to actually look at someone else's perspective. You know what I mean?
I
Now my
agree.
understanding is everything happens for a reason. if someone said no to you, it's really for a reason. It's nothing personal, because
Yeah.
they could be going through something. You know what I mean? And it really took, okay, if I have to change my mindset now, how can I enforce mindset, right? So I had to create this environment around me. I understood this. Like, there's 1,000 thoughts in my head. Okay, I know all my life, all I've done is be a slave to my ego. Oh, Satsby says no, I'm going to say fuck you, Satsby. This person said fuck you to me. Well, fuck you, I'm fighting you. Okay, this is very primitive. I was so sick and tired of primitive being. I don't want to be the same. I don't want to be normal. I understood this. How do I
Mm.
exclude myself from everybody? Okay, how do I think? I have to change how I think. So I created an environment. I wake up, first thing, even before my mind starts saying things to me, I play David Goggins. I play something encouraging, something that's motivating right away while I'm brushing my teeth. I go to my phone for that only purpose for the first couple of hours. I'm only listening to
Mm.
motivational stuff. Okay. I don't care even if my mind tells me, yo, you're going to do this again. You heard this already. I don't care. And I'm agreeing with that person. You are the best. I'm saying while I'm brushing my teeth, yes, I am the best. I say
Right.
affirmations. I look into my soul, into my eyes. I say affirmations of what I know I'm going to be. You know, so that this is where this is my saying now. This is my go-to saying now. I am done being a slave to my soul. I'm only going to be a slave to my soul. What I mean by that is I've taken my soul and I've made my soul the slave to my ego all my life, because I've been
Mm.
conditioned to this. Okay, I am male, I am Indian, my name is this, my parents are this, I've been born with this. You have no choices with any of these things, no choices whatsoever. So all it is just a human experience. How can I maximize this human experience, right? So when that question occurs, is how can I be the best version of myself? Every day is wrong.
Right.
You know, certain days you wake up on the wrong side of bed. We all do. And we all have some kind of mental health condition. We all do. All of us. That's why certain days are not great. And not
Yeah.
every day is great. And that's why life is up and down, up and down. And that's what life is. So my understanding lately is, if every day, even in the good days, you're pushing yourself, in the bad days, you're automatically pushing yourself, right? So it's all about building that environment. I had to cut a lot of people off in my life, um, that weren't on the same vibration. It's nothing personal towards them. It's all about me. I understood that I was a people pleaser. I would sugarcoat things to just conversate with people, and I understood, fuck all that. It is what it is. If I have to stay true to myself, I have to stay true to other people. I have to be very straight up, have conversation. I have to have a conversation with my mother,
Yeah.
saying, yo, if it's nothing important, please leave me alone for 2 months. I'm focusing on me. It's nothing personal to you. It's me. You know what I mean? And I understood this. Every time I see another Desi hip hop artist doing great, I used to feel jealous. I used to feel so insecure. And then I have to sit and look. I'm like, hold on, this person is doing it for the culture. What is the bigger purpose? Is it me? No, it's the culture. What do I want from
Big.
this? What do I want
Yeah.
from this? What do I want from this, right? I want, and this is my understanding now, bro. Most people, I don't want to be most people, number one. Most people worship numbers, right? Whether it's your following, whether it's your views. And I used to be that. I used to worship numbers, okay? Just like everybody, whether it's your views, how much do you have in your bank account, and people get treated based on that. I am done. I am done. I'm not that person no more. I'm not going to be that person no more. I'm not worshiping numbers. If all I did was wanting to worship numbers. I started the music because I wanted to make money. I wanted to have more views. I wanted to have more following, and I've done fucked up shit to for those things. I'm not doing that no more. I can recognize that I'm not that person who I was even last year, even 6 months ago,
Wow.
right? I'm not that person. So now I'm done. What do I want from this? What do I want from anything I do? I want to have cultural impact. When I'm having kids, I want to teach my kids what being Canadian is, what being human being is. How do we respect each other beyond numbers, right? So
Big, big.
it's not about that anymore.
Listen, I love how you broke it down to worship numbers. I never saw it in that moment of clarity. And you're totally right. We're chasing numbers for so long, did I get 60 in class or 90? What's my, oh, I'm 25, so I should be doing this by now.
Yep.
Oh, I'm 40, I should be doing this by now according to culture. What's my bank account? Even at 45, this is real talk. Even at 45, my mom calls me just when COVID kicked off, and she's like, "COVID's happening. What's going on in business?" And I'm like, "Wow, a whole bunch of projects I was working on are all dead." I'm 45. I've won a bunch of awards. I've sold some companies, and she's like, "So, how much money's in your bank account? Are you gonna be okay?" I'm like, "Mom, do I have to explain this? Like at 45, you're still judging me by like what my bank account is when I was 18? Why don't you ask me how my wife is or how my kids are doing or
Mhm.
are we spending time to So I love the fact that you broke it down to like that level of granular thinking, which is kind of what my hope is with these conversations every morning, right? So many of us get these like top line quotes, do this and do that. I'm like, how do you do that? How do you break down ego? How do you break down the blueprint? How do you break down the voice in your head? And I love how you like, look, if this is where your voice is and it's all about ego, you got to get to the other side, which is not about ego, but along the way you got to ask yourself some really big questions. And one of the questions that I love that you're asking is, who do I serve? And when we figure out who we serve, in your case, the culture or your kids and the impact of your life to them, you start to get clarity around the decisions you want to make. And that
Yep.
for me is like true success and freedom. Like you, I wake up every morning saying, man, if there's one thing I can hope for today is a little bit more clarity into who I am. And the better I get clarity, the more useful I am because I'm so much more focused on who do I want to serve, right?
Right.
And all of these habits that you have, like me getting up at 7 a.m., getting ready to be inspired by 9 from another person I'm speaking to, is part of my life hacking now to change my mindset,
Right.
right? And it's a forced action. Like I don't sleep in anymore. This includes now Saturday and Sunday because I'm so used to getting up at 7. I've programmed myself even on Saturday, Sundays to be like up by 7,
Yep.
ready to go. And so I love the fact that you're life hacking. Um, let's talk a little bit about the entrepreneur. You got a company, Mask Up Fam. Let's talk about that. And I love how we went from artists to borderline hate club to now business partners. But let's talk about Mask Up Fam and the entrepreneur side of you.
Yeah, so Mascot Fam really truly started, so with this change, it all also goes back, everything goes back to change now, with this change also came, how am every time I say I want to differentiate myself and separate myself from the herd, I'm thinking of what do I have to do? That means I have to swim, I have to go against the wind, I have to swim against the current, and I have to go against the grain. What is that? You know, and I started doing these things when the pandemic hit. We started, start waking up early, masked up because we didn't know what it was. Gyms are closed, and I'm forced to actually run. I'm forced to go to the gym. I hate fucking cardio. I'm doing all these things because I deal with a lot of chronic pain. So from that, I started forcing myself to watch things I've been avoiding for a very long time. Documentaries when it comes to how animals are getting treated, from the meat we consume, from the amount of pollution out there and how it's affecting the environment, specifically how plastic is affecting the ocean. One day when I was watching a documentary, I started crying,
Oh
crying,
wow.
crying. And it just hurt me so bad because I have a pet, and I seen these. I'm actually getting emotional right now because the memories are coming back, and how I seen these turtles and fishes and octopus and everything being so impacted by plastic. And I made a decision. I'm going to stop using plastic. I live in a building, so I don't like drinking tap water. We used to get bottled water. Now I get these big bottles because that's the only option I have. Um, so I'm starting making small different changes in my household and within myself. Um, and once the pandemic started, one day it just occurred to us that, hey, this is going to cause a lot of added waste to the environment, and that's how truly it started. And we started looking into, what else is out there? How else can we contribute to what's happening here? And also straight up profit from it. Um, and that's when I was doing a lot of research in cloth mask and came across sublimation, and it's a fairly new process. The last 5 years, the technology started. I did enough research on it with Ree, who's also my manager. So we actually got into it, and it was more of her idea that, you know, and she was more passionate about this. And so we started Mask Up Fam, and we're like, hey, this is what we're going to call it. You know, and our main focus was, let's give something that reduces the waste, also helps people express themselves, you know, which is fashion, you know. Um, and so that's how it started. We did all the research. We went and got all the equipment. It was mostly her that actually got the equipment and all of that stuff. And yeah, you know, and then we started calling up friends and family and saying, hey, we have a couple of products we want to come and drop off, and you were one of those people on the list. And that's how we started off.
Amazing, man. What similarities or new discoveries you've made as an artist now, also thinking as an entrepreneur? Because there's a side of like now business and hustle and organization, which has some similarities to the music side, but vastly different.
Yeah.
Any new superpowers you've discovered?
Yes, I've discovered the power of timing and time in general, just the understanding of time in general. You know, I was a person that never respected time. Forget anybody else's time. I never respected my own time. You know what I mean? You know, and given my background for probably a decade, I never had a legitimate job, which means that not that I didn't have a job, I was just on the streets. Okay, that's the back end of it. Like it's a lot of bad that comes with it. One of the worst things is timing. You never respected anybody else's timing because everybody was a customer and you were the boss. Everyone waited for you, right? So as a result, I never respected my own time. So now I've learned what time is and how to respect your own time. Therefore, you respect other people's time, you know, and then people vice versa start respecting your time.
Yeah, I love that. I love that you talked about time, and one of the early lessons I learned in entrepreneurship was that the greatest resource I waste every day is my time. Nothing else matters, bro. You can make money back, you can lose friends, make new friends. The love of your life can leave and another person will show up. You can break a bone and heal, but you can't get the minutes back no matter what you do in
Nope.
life.
Nope.
As the one resource that is being spent every minute.
Yeah.
And at the same time, we have a choice on how we can spend it.
Yes, 100%. And you know, and that's one thing. Like the depletion of time is it's a real thing. You know what I mean? Sometimes it's easy. Again, when going back to perspective, it's easy to think that time stops just for you because you're in a certain mind state, whether it's down, whether it's up, whatever it is, that the entire world revolves around you. It's an easy mind state for humans to fall into. My biggest number two thing about entrepreneurship and music, the bridge right there is understanding how human psychology works, you know, like what does your brain do? There's a lot of times we react. That's why I stopped taking things personally. You feel a certain way about me, you treat me a certain way, as long as it's not directly impacting me personally, physically, I mean, if it's not impacting my career or my family, I don't care.
Yeah, it's your
I don't
ways.
care
Yeah.
what you do, because I know that it's not coming from your soul, because the soul is carefree. You know, and
100%.
it's free. This is one thing that I learned with the entrepreneurship as well. You know, stay true to your cause, stay true to who you are. And again, you know, like, why did we start this company? We started it for that very reason. It impacted me. I can today say, before, the old me would never say I cried. Millie Soch cried? No, I'm gangster, bro. That's how I did it. You know what I mean? Now I can say, yo, that impacted me so much that I was crying like a little baby because I have a pet, you know? And I see when he communicates with me through his eyes. So when
What
I
a
see another
powerful
being,
statement.
you know, when I see another being, whether it be a turtle or a freaking octopus, when they zoom into the eyes, it fucking affects my soul, because I'm trying to be my soul. I'm trying to be my soul every day. I do need my ego to a certain degree so I can rock this hat and be like, hey, I'm looking good. So I can trim my beard and be like, I'm looking good. You need your ego to a certain degree. But you know, somebody said, which stuck with me, they said your ego is like a pencil, right? If you keep living your ego every day, you start dulling it down. So when someone comes and threatens you in real life, it happens, you know, road rage, whatever. Someone comes and threatens you in real life, and you try to use your ego, it's so dull. You can't use it. That's why you see these guys sometimes. I'm pretty sure you've seen this. A short guy will look at like some bodybuilder, and when the fight happens, the short guy, can scare the bodybuilder. You know why? Because he's living like he needs his ego. He needs to show force, right? But he's always himself, and he's using the ego when necessary because the pencil is sharp. You know what I mean?
100%. 100%. I love that analogy. I love that analogy. I love that analogy so much. You don't even understand how relevant that is for people to listen to. That's definitely going to be a soundbite for sure, man. And I think people need to understand, like, most people don't know this, but like I went to school for computer science because my parents made me. I wanted to
Mhm.
be a psychologist, and they're like, yeah, you could be a psychologist, a teacher, you could be anything you want, but not under this roof. Or you could be an accountant, computers, or engineering or something, and you can live here. And I was like, man. And my ego was like, all right, I'm gonna call my boys, I'm gonna bounce. And I was like, okay, but how long are my boys are gonna take care of me for the next four
Yeah,
years? I don't know how to cook. I don't know how to take care of myself. I'm still a mama's boy.
right.
So I signed up for computer science and all this kind of fun stuff. Very first day, bro. God's got plans, right? Very first day, I'm running to Ryerson. I go to the auditorium, I'm sitting down. This is like year one, inauguration or whatever, right? I'm sitting, and I'll never forget this moment. The dean walks on stage with a garbage can, and he puts it right in the middle, and he goes, all you guys in here, you're never going to do anything in business until you take your ego
Mm.
on day one and throw it into this garbage bin, or the next 4 years is going to be a waste of time. I turned to the guy next to me and I said, yo, is this business or computer science? And he's like, this is business. I'm like, oh shit, I'm in the wrong auditorium.
It was meant to be.
Yeah, I run out and I go to the computer science auditorium. Not standard, like coding 101 and camp and all this stuff. But I remember that moment so vividly in my life on how important it was, because so much of my business success came from not getting rid of my ego, because you need it to, as a brown dude,
Yes.
walk into a white man world and be like, yo, this is what I need from you. You need a bit of ego and
Yeah.
swagger to do it. But when that becomes you and
Yeah.
not your true self,
Yes.
your voice gets lost, your pencil becomes
Yes.
blunt. I love that analogy. Very last, I want to get your thoughts on it because I think you're going to love this. uh, Napoleon Hill, Think and Grow Rich. He's got
Yes.
a quote from that book, and it says, opportunity has a sly habit of slipping in by the back door, and often it comes disguised in the form of misfortune or temporary defeat.
Yes.
And so much of the moments of defeat and misfortune has moments of opportunities that we miss. And I feel like what you're doing with Mask Up, what we're doing with Smile for Smile, and
Yes.
just the life that we're living is about identifying these opportunities and moments of misfortune.
Right. So, to be, this brings me to something that I've never told you before. Uh, you know, I've always looked up to you, right? And that's why there were times that I would call you for a certain thing, certain advice on a certain thing when it comes to rejection. How do I say no to somebody? And I've done this with you before because I know that you've said no to me and a million other artists and the way you've handled it, right? Um, and I've always wanted, whether you know it or not, bro, you have been a mentor to me.
No, I
You get what I'm
appreciate
saying?
it, man.
Whether you
Yeah.
know it or not, right? And I've heard somebody say this, what with these things that I hear in the morning, these motivational speeches, that people that don't even know you can be your mentors. You know what I mean? Um, and it's always been in the back of my head that I want to do something, so something with Satsby, but for my true self, right? But this wasn't my intention. This was just something that a thought, you know what I mean? And something that I've shared with my closest people. Uh, but nothing that I nailed down and was pursuing. And it was just a carefree, honest thought. So when this whole Mask Up thing happened, and how you spoke about ideas and how you wanted to be involved with the mask, and how you said synergy works, and synergy is a huge thing for me. I truly believe in this, and this is why I wake up, I pray, I meditate, I do some cardio so I can get breathing exercises, so I can truly understand my gut and my core and live from that. And my true belief is what you put out is what you get back. And you know, that's why people say,
100%.
oh, just how karma. What is karma? Look, the depth of karma. Take it in. It's not just how you treat people, it's how you treat yourself. That's where it comes first. Treating somebody else, it's how you treat yourself is when you treat somebody else, you know it comes from the truth. It's not based on their numbers or who they are or nothing like that. And that's why I felt like this partnership that we have with Smile for Smiles and Mask Up Fam was so organic. I'm so thankful. I'm so thankful to the universe because I truly put this out as an individual, not particularly this idea, but waking up every day, pushing against the grain, swimming against the current. You know, I fucking truly believe in this, bro. You know what I mean? So when this happened, it's the universe, God, whatever you want to call it whatever. It's the same thing. It's that same energy. So and again, this is something I feel in my gut, just like the new music I'm making, the stuff I'm putting out. I feel in my gut. I don't give a fuck about numbers. And I'm saying this. I'm saying it like this, so I'm saying it back to my ego, bro. You know what I mean? As much as I'm saying I'm not living the ego, it's so easy. The ego tricks me, and I start living it again. You know what I mean? So I have to tell myself, my subconscious mind and my conscious mind, and I have to speak with this kind of passion. I have no choice.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
and the minute you bring that energy into everything you're saying, you're dictating what you want to happen. And that's what I
Yes.
love, man. Like
And it's happening. It's happening.
yeah.
I believe in parallel dimensions. I believe in that stuff, right? So I know it's happening. But am I living up to it? Yo, if I want $1 million, am I fucking living like a millionaire every day? Am I living that? Am I doing that? If I want success, am I doing that every day? What is success to me, right? It's something organic like we're doing for Smiles for Smile. Yo, just knowing alone that, yo, I'm contributing or I'm part of something that's going to help a child forever, that fucking energy, bro. That energy alone, you can't put a value on that. Can you put some
100%.
value on that? No, you can't, because a kid, I don't even want the kid to know what helped, who helped, what. I don't care about that because it's all about the energy, the bigger things.
That's
Today,
it.
today we're talking about Smiles for Smile. Why? Because we want to push it. We want people to know, right? Truthfully, do we care about our faces being on it? No, it does
No,
not matter who's pushing it. I want to be part of an initiative that's going to actually help. Yo, we're talking about kids. We're not just talking about people here, okay? Kids
incredible opportunity.
forever,
Yeah.
forever.
Yeah.
Listen, bro, my limbs are good, okay? I've been told I'm a fairly good looking guy, okay? You know, I had no choice on it, okay? But I still have insecurities. I fucking live with insecurities, bro.
Yeah.
Every day, right? Because everybody else, the outside world, puts all this fucking their
Yeah.
insecurities on me. I've been conditioned, right? A certain way. We all have been. So I'm trying to break barriers within myself. So just knowing alone that I have insecurities, feeling that, hey, there are chicks that hit me up saying, yo, you hot, bro. You get what I'm saying? Knowing all this. Now I know a kid who has a cleft lip or cleft palate, how it can affect how insecure they could feel. Just about something
100%.
that they had no choice over. You know what
That's
I
the
mean?
real
So
talk.
if I can be part of that, if I can help with that, that's all I care. And that's what I'm thankful for. You know the blessings I'm going to get from it? I don't care your fucking religion, eh? I don't care about all that. You know the blessings you get from this?
Yeah,
It's all
real talk,
energy.
man.
It's all
Listen,
energy.
what I love about what we're working on is just that, most businesses, um, I shouldn't say most, almost every business you start is damn hard. It's fighting for everything. And the fight goes up and down. The first few months, it's like, oh, I'm on a high because I'm starting something new. And then the dip happens. And most people stop at that dip because they don't have anything else to fuel them other than the idea of making money. Right. And for me, of the 5 or 10 things that worked really well and the other 900 that failed,
Mm-hmm.
is because there was nothing deeper than I want to make money. And that's why, when everybody jumped on the bandwagon, and I'm a hustler like you, right? So I'm like, yo, everybody's buying masks and sanitizers and all this stuff. How do I get into this game to make some money? Then I
Mm-hmm.
was like, well, I don't want to get into it because of money. And there's no other deeper purpose. So I know myself at 45, I can't sustain the energy or the passion. Because anytime I only do stuff for making money, it actually makes me lose money.
Right.
I will buy masks and they'll sit in inventory. I don't have a desire to talk about it, all the stuff. So when you and I met, I was like, man, here's an innovative product. Is somebody's smile on a mask, and we can create a story around this where people will be motivated not only to represent their inner soul, but portions of it goes to helping somebody directly in need. It costs $240 Canadian to help one child with a cleft lip or palate for life. Okay, they can actually die from not having the surgery because of health reasons.
Mm-hmm.
One bottle at a nightclub, goddamn Grey Goose, is $300 plus tips. Can you imagine, right? The inequality that exists, and when you have a product and we're both passionate about solving a problem, I'm all in. And I bug the shit out of everybody because I don't want to sell you a mask. I want you to buy a solution for a kid you're never going to meet. So
Yeah.
I'll make that call 10 times a day, 100 times a day. Let's go, let's go, let's go, let's go.
Right.
You know, and that's what I love. Your energy is infectious. Thank you so much for sharing some time with me, man. I appreciate it.
Thank
More
you.
people
Thank
need to
you.
hear this kind of energy. Yeah, last words on your shout out, you know, what you're working on, you know, where to follow you. Give us a little
Yes.
like 30-second closer.
I mean, you can follow me on IG, straight up. My 30-second closing is just be true to yourself. Anything I post, anything I say I'm saying it first to myself. I'm not a preacher. That's not my job. My job is not come and save humanity. No, my job is to live my highest self. So if I'm saying do good, be better, I'm saying it to myself first. I'm putting it out there. I'm going to be an idiot if I don't live up to it. Okay? So if I say it to you, I'm saying it to me first. You know?
I love it.
Other than that, check out new music coming out. The most truest form of me is coming out. I was already out.
Amazing.
Check out Demons. I've spoken about, put myself in vulnerable situations, spoken about the dirt I've done. And those are just 2 stories. More stuff is coming out. Shooting a
Amazing.
video this weekend. Mask Up Fam, Smile for Smiles. Yeah, that's it.
I love it, bro. Thank you so much. Say hi to wifey. I'll
Thank
hit you up from the DM. We got work to do today.
Yes, sir.
But thank you for your time. I appreciate it.
Peace.
Peace.